Welcome to the Sisterhood of Sweat. I am here today with Tim Storey. Tim Storey is an acclaimed author, speaker, and life coach, helping people create the future they desire. He has inspired people from all walks of life, from entertainment legends to professionals, from executives to deprived children in third world countries, using seasoned foundational principles and humor to get honest with people so they can overcome obstacles that are holding them back. Tim has traveled to 75 countries and spoken to millions of people. He often meets privately to counsel high profile leaders in various industries. He is recognized and has helped people such as Quincy Jones, Lee Iacocca, Smokey Robertson, Stevie Wonder, and so much more, you guys. Along with a rigorous speaking calendar and private life coaching sessions since the early 90s, Tim has held regular spiritually motivating sessions, intimate sessions in Hollywood and across the world called Tim Storey Live, bringing together industry leaders. Most recently, Tim has relaunched his influential network, World Shakers, and he is connected with people such as Deepak Chopra, and like he's been on Oprah Soul Sunday. He was interviewed on the Steve Harvey show, and he also has worked with people such as Grant Cardone, Lewis Howes, and Steve Harvey's Act Like a Success tour. Like I did that. I was a participant in Steve Harvey's Act Like a Success. And he's also done Steve Harvey TV Facebook Lives. Tim has authored multiple books, with the most recent being Miracle Mentality that we talk about today. And one of my favorites is Come Back and Beyond. He was featured on Oprah Super Soul Sunday. I listened to that today before having him on. One of the treats for me is when I have a guest and I research them, I listen to whatever they have put out there, like a podcast, a book. It's such a treat to listen to him and Oprah talking about making a comeback and stepping out of our setbacks today. And just like before he even came on, I just get so much out of each guest that I have. And Tim certainly brought it today. He is so humble, even though he has been in the circle of greatness. Tim says he's just a regular guy, and I just love him for that. I love how he speaks greatness into people. And today, you guys, this is going to knock your socks off. Make sure to tune in if you've had any setbacks, if you are settling in your setback and you just need a little inspiration today. This is sure to bring it to you live. Without further ado, let's tune in. Well, I think like I am more than excited to welcome my friend Tim Storey to the Sisterhood of Sweat today.
And I am your friend. I really am your friend. Every time we talk, we have really amazing conversations.
Well, I think when you're like-minded and you have the same type of goals and dreams, it helps to bring you together as friends and with everybody like an audience.
Yes, I would agree with that. I think that, you know, we both believe that God has a plan for our lives, and that when you allow yourself to align with that plan, that life just becomes a lot nicer, easier, and it flows a lot better, doesn't it?
Oh gosh, 100%. And the audience, you've been on before, but for those of them that are listening that have not heard your story, I would love for you to give your backstory so that they can understand where you've come from to where you've evolved.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I think that, you know, like so many people, you know, we all obviously have a backstory, but mine was one of everything was limited. and everything was like minimized. And in my soul, I was pretty maximized. So that's not always easy to live in a limited environment, but your soul is feeling beyond the limits, beyond the boundaries. And so we had a family that struggled financially, but a lot of you guys did. I was born in Compton, California. My father worked at a steel factory. My mother only had a sixth grade education. She worked for a donut shop. But I will say this, and I'm super, super close with my mother because my father passed when I was 10, but my mother's about to be 90 and we're best friends. I think they did their best. So they did their best. So, growing up in that environment, I was always thinking big in small places. And the more I educated myself in school and the more things I observed of how other people lived, I began to find my way up and out. And look at little Timmy's story now.
So amazing. Who was your biggest inspiration growing up?
I mean, I used to love sports, so I could memorize an entire baseball team. Like if someone would say, "Who is the 1971 Oakland A's?" I'm not going to bore you with it, but I could tell you. The Cincinnati Reds. I mean, I'll blow you away because you're an Ohio girl. You got Johnny Bench, the catcher. You've got Concepcion at shortstop. You got Pete Rose on the team. You've got I mean, on and on and on and on. I could go through different teams that were not even in my city. So I was inspired by athletes, their work ethic. So, when you're 7, 8, 9, 10 years of age, that's kind of what you like. So that's how it all started. And then it moved on to people like Michelangelo because of his artistic abilities. So started with sports and it moved to artist.
I would love you to tell the audience a story about the teacher that gave you the book that you were just speaking about with Michael
Yes.
D'Angelo.
Yeah, I think Michael would like that. That was cool. That was like you just made him very 2021, Michelangelo. um, yes, my teacher in sixth grade, he said to me, "Timmy, can you stay after class?" And this is like 5 minutes before class was going to end, and everybody went ooh, because we had like a class of 30 kids all crammed in this classroom. Ooh. So, I mean, this guy said something to me that changed my life. He said, "I think you are," and I didn't know what he was going to say next. He said, "I think you are brilliant. And because I think you're brilliant, I wanted to see if you wanted to read one of my books from my personal library." So I said, "Yes." But one thing you'll like is I never pushed away the word brilliant. When he said it to me, I embraced it. I think a lot of people that are listening, people have tried to brand you with brilliance and you push it away because you think you're not worthy. But I didn't know if I was worthy or not, but I took it. So there was 3 books on the table. The 2 books, I don't even remember what they were. The one I understood, Michelangelo, because I'd seen something on television on him that someone in my family was watching a documentary and I just was pulled in to what this man had accomplished. And it was written by a man named Irving Stone. Now that's going to be interesting. I'll tell you why, because I read that book by Irving Stone. The teacher told me, finish it in 3 weeks. I did, not for extra credit, just to learn. And my mind just took off. I just began to see this man and his obstacles and life in Italy and everything that he did. And it was later in life that I was on a flight from Los Angeles to Maui in first class that I sat next to this amazingly beautiful lady who was about 74. And she introduced herself as Jean Stone. And I said, Stone, that's interesting. And I said, I was very influenced by a man named Stone. Oh, really? Who? Irving Stone. He wrote a book on the life of Michelangelo. She says, that was my late husband. And so could you imagine that I could go back in time and thank her for her husband's writing, in which she told me the truth, that she had edited about 50% of the book. She said about 50% of that was me, Tim. So yeah, so I was very, very, very inspired by the life of Michelangelo, that I could go beyond and live beyond and do beyond. Yes.
And I love that. I love that so much. When you were young and you went through this horrific tragedy of losing your father, and you have this speaker, this teacher, he speaks into you basically, and you received that. But I feel like now that's what you do to everyone else out there. You speak positivity into them, and I can attest to that because you kind of spoke a couple times a prophetic word over me, and it's come to
Yes.
pass. So it feels supernatural in a way. Can you explain, not the supernatural, but uh, what is this God flow you've tapped into?
Yes. So I will say this, that I think that all of us are a piece of the puzzle. And I have this cousin named Esther, really sweet and very artistic. And she used to like to do puzzles. And as you know, there's different levels. There's like the easy one, the not so easy, and like super difficult. So we would do like the middle one, because I was still young. And we would lay them out, not on carpet, because that's difficult. We had a wooden floor at her house that we would lay it out. This is very important. But I noticed that every piece of that puzzle was important, because one time something happened, is that the company forgot to put two pieces of the puzzle in the box. It was the worst feeling, because we had been working on that puzzle for several hours while listening to Motown records on a record player. Do you remember record players?
Yes.
Okay, so we're listening to Motown. I must have been 11. We're putting together this puzzle. Two pieces are missing. And at that age, what are you going to do? You're going to mail it back and say the two pieces are missing, and bring me a new puzzle. It was awful. And so I really figured out something right there. Every piece is important. So I'm no better than the guy at 7-Eleven, or the guy who is busting his tail and he's an electrician, or the single mother, or the stay-at-home mother, or the mother who's an attorney. I just play my role. My piece of the puzzle is I work very hard. I have a doctorate in world religion. I spent about 20 years studying psychology and crisis, and how to get through a crisis. So I'm good at what I'm good at, but that's just my piece of the puzzle. But I need everybody else.
How can we tap into the God flow?
Well, I think that it's easier than people realize. When you get into the Bible, in Ephesians 4:1, it says that to walk worthy of the high calling you received. The word calling is a very special word, because it means specific calling, watch this, and unique calling. And I think what happens is, many times, because someone has not been tutored correctly, they try to get into a calling that maybe their mother had for them, or their father had for them, or their boyfriend had for them, or somebody else had for them, but it's not their specific, what I call God idea calling. Then Ephesians 2:10, when I say 2:10, that means chapter 2 and verse 10, says, you are a work of art created in Christ Jesus to do good works. Watch this, how powerful. That God planned for you in advance. So that's why I told my great friend Oprah Winfrey, I said, I don't believe in chasing things. Like, you've been around me enough to know I'm a laid back dude, but I kick butt. You know, I'm running a lot of businesses. I mean, you see what we do, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just laid back because I'm not chasing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm cooperating with what heaven already said. So Ephesians 2:10 says, you're a work of art created in Christ Jesus to do good works that God prepared in advance for you to do. So number one, I'm called to a specific calling. And secondly, the master plan has already been spoken. So now I just have to cooperate with what heaven has said. Now, how do I know that, Tim Storey? It's simple. You stop, you look, and you listen. Quit moving so fast. Slow down. Stop. Go get yourself a treat.
You have to slow down to speed up.
Yeah, but listen, don't even think about speeding up right now. Just slow down. I mean, when we were kids, we had a 7-Eleven that was not too far from our house. I remember four of us as boys, four boys, not all, they weren't all my siblings, but like me and my three friends, we would ask our mother for money. And then like once a week, we go up and get a Slurpee at 7-Eleven. And I remember we would get the Slurpee and then we would sit in this park, drink our Slurpee, and just talk. Those were like some of the greatest times in life. Some of you guys need some Slurpee times.
Oh gosh, I love that so much. And I would say the last time we talked, I was in a life interruption and I would have missed my calling, my greater calling. I think I was going too fast, doing too much. I wouldn't have recognized it. I would have never been able to do what I'm doing right now. Like when I step into my studio, the Sisterhood of Sweat, 3,800 square feet of it's beautiful. And I like tears come to my eyes. I want to cry because I know that I, it's my calling and I wouldn't be there. I couldn't have never imagined it in a million years that I would be helping women in a place like that.
Okay, but slow down for a second, because let me interview you for a minute, because a lot of my audience is going to be listening to this. When you say Sisterhood of Sweat and you walked into your building, tell the people that are just coming on to you and learning about you what you do from that big old building.
And that gives them a voice because once upon a time, I almost had my voice taken away from me. And so that's like my mission, my passion, my calling is to give women a voice.
Yeah, and then give us the various ways you do that. You do it through a magazine, through books, through speaking, but tell my listeners how you do it.
Okay. Well, I do it coaching, like you coach, like you life coach. Um, I work a lot from the inside out. So they come to see me at the studio or online. So we do a lot of physical fitness, but we also do a lot of mental fitness. And I have books and a podcast, and it's all under the brand The Sisterhood of Sweat.
Yes, I like that. And then, so tell me where you see this going in the future. Do you see it? Do you see it as doing more TV appearances? Do you see yourself getting your own TV show? I mean, because you're very gifted. Do you see yourself speaking in more countries? What's exciting in your mind and your spirit that you feel like God has kind of dropped in your heart?
Well, I feel that God has dropped in my heart that we all like at some point in our life, we have an SOS, which is Sisterhood of Sweat, SOS. We have a cry, and that God hears our cry. And I feel like that I'm here to just bear that testimony that he heard my cry, and he takes us out of the pit and he sets us on a rock, and he finds a way in the desert, where there is no way. And, in the wilderness, he gives us water. So like, I feel like the Sisterhood of Sweat, he heard, women's cry, and I have that place for women to go where they feel supported and heard, and they can collaborate together. And that's what I'm trying to build as a community. And I see myself speaking. And as you said, I wasn't going to just do it in America. I'm going to do it around the world. And one day I was like, well, this pandemic's kind of slowing that down. But then no, I started speaking virtually. And I looked at my podcast one day and I said, oh gosh, I've hit every country now. So that's
Yes, I
pretty
mean,
much.
I see you as a worldwide brand, and part of it is you're unique. Um, from the minute I met you, because I get to meet a lot of people. I liked how you were so transparent. I also liked that you were very respectful. Like, you were respectful to me as like, hey, I appreciate your work, Tim, but I also appreciate you as like a man of God. You're very, very respectful. And then as we begin to dialogue, I think your uniqueness is so needed. So in the space of helping women, what do you think is one of the standout thing that God uses you to unlock women? Is it unlocking their minds and unlocking them from their past, unlocking them from trauma? So where do you think you're kind of unlocking women?
Unlocking them from trauma and the past, and realizing that their past does not need to define them. That, what are you tolerating in your life that you shouldn't be tolerating? And just helping them to wake up to who they are and what they deserve.
You see how I get you? I got to get you. I got to understand you to ask these kind of good questions.
You ask great questions.
Yeah, and it's your podcast. But
That's
the
okay.
but the reality is that with you is that I feel that your uniqueness is evident to me, and that you are helping a lot of ladies, and so you're creating a community of people that needs to multiply and duplicate themselves. So last thing that I'm going to ask you, then you can go back to asking me a question, is how are you duplicating yourself? How are you guys multiplying? One is podcast. Are you doing conferences? And if so, how come I have not been invited yet? So what are you guys doing?
So multiplying would be through the podcast. And then people, now that I've expanded, so many more people are coming to the actual studio. And then I would say also, just like, I'm bringing people into my dream, my vision, and they're working like at the Sisterhood of Sweat. So I don't know. I feel like it's a pretty big vision that God, I would have never been ready for. Uh, Gosh, 6 years ago, when I was just thinking about the vision in my small little studio. But now, like, he just keeps increasing the vision. I stepped into more space during a pandemic because I felt like he spoke to me not to look at the circumstances, but to believe what he was placing in my heart, that there was a reason for my business, and that just like I stepped out in faith. I took a leap, a huge leap, and he has rewarded that. And so I just feel like through doing all of this, the vision keeps expanding every time I take a step. So I don't know where it's going to end up, but I'm following what I hear in my heart.
Well, I like that. And I think that that's important for other people to realize. I want to look at a note of mine from a message that I have, and it's a quote from Winston Churchill. And the whole idea is that we don't change always in a fashion that we want to. I'm going to find it here. Many times we want everything to happen, overnight, like right now. Oh, here he goes. He says, you have to understand that the best change is one link at a time, one link at a time, one link at a time. And truly, that's it. And if people learn to be in the moment and just change one link at a time, man, life gets really great. So I don't wake up every morning and go like this, like, I'm on my grind. I'm going to be better than I was yesterday. I'm like, it's like, slow down. If I abide in him, God, and I do my disciplines and I work my land, what's in front of me, man, I look 2 years back and I'm like, holy schmoly, guacamole, little Timmy from Compton. You sure did grow. Yeah, I think we're putting too much pressure on ourselves and we're not living. Now, if you're lazy, then we might need to dynamite your dreams and put a fire underneath you. But I don't think most of you that are watching are lazy. But it is one link at a time, no doubt.
And I just have to say, I was so drawn to your course that you have, Make Your Dreams a Reality, when at the same time I felt God was calling me to speak. And I will say, I was always afraid of public speaking. So that
Yes.
was a big one. And I just kept thinking, why am I so drawn to this course? Because it isn't about speaking. But can I just say, in the very first day,
Yeah.
the very first day, you called me out and you spoke over me that I was going to speak not just in, America, but in other countries. And
Yes.
that was a big thing. Like, that was big. But the second thing that you did, and those two things were worth the price of admission to your course. You said to me, when I said, how do I start speaking? You said, speak to the people right in front of you. And that was such a God moment for me, because it took away the overwhelm and made it like simple. Oh, okay. I'll just speak to the two people here right in front of me today. But then I realized that's all you're ever speaking to. And so a lot of times we get in our head and we're stuck in our head with all this overwhelm. And I just love how you made that so simple.
That makes me feel good. And if you hear a little bit of noise, because I'm so down to earth, my gardener decided to show up, because 2 days ago I thought, why is my grass getting so long? I don't know. Maybe he was on a hiatus. So if you hear a little noise, that's all it is. Somebody's cutting our yard. But let me just say this. Again, back to the puzzle. We all have our place. So don't put yourself down. If you're like, 10 pounds underweight or 20 pounds overweight, or this ear's bigger than the other ear, or your hair's not as volumey as it used to be, or you found that you got little lines, who cares? Rise up, be the best version of yourself, right? Walk worthy of your calling, and live your life and not just go through life. I think when you live your life, oh my goodness, the beautiful things that can come to you. Like somebody asked me in an interview yesterday, how did you get to know Walter Matthau, Jack Lemmon, Elliot Gould, all these famous older actors? Of course, I know all the young ones. I won't name drop them, but those are the young guys are all my buddies. I life coach a lot of them. But it's the old, powerful guys. How did I get to know them? I was just minding my own business, super good at crisis management and getting people through a crisis, and they needed me to help their nephew, their cousin, their kid, etc. And life just made a way for me because I was good at my piece of the puzzle.
And I know, like, when we have setbacks, which I had a major setback, you might think you're going to be a discounted version of yourself. How can we not just sit, nurse, rehearse, curse, like you say, and step out of the setback?
So when you have a setback or a life interruption, there will be a moment that you feel like a discount version of yourself. So if you're a woman and some fool leaves you for another woman, like let's say at age 48, and you're like, that, you know what? I had 2 kids, I busted my tail, and now he thinks he's cute. Okay. You're going to feel like a discount version of yourself for a season. Or if you're a man and you started a business and you thought it was going to work and it didn't, you're going to feel like a discount version of yourself. So here's what you have to do. When you have that setback, there are steps. Number one, you have to become awake. You have to wake up, because what you want to do is you want to just pull the curtains, man. You got to wake up. Secondly, you got to take inventory. You got to think, oh my God, I'm a single mother. My finances are limited. The help is limited. My emotions are down, whatever it is. So number one, you take inventory after you wake up. So wake up, take inventory. Then the third thing, this is powerful, you got to reach for the right partners. And this is what you have become for your sisterhood of sweat. You are a partner to them. You are their power partner, bringing them into a better place. Isn't that true?
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like you're my power partner today, Tim. So
Well, I received that, but you see that I keep throwing it back on you because, again, you have to understand, I get to be around the best people. I mean, President Barack Obama used my book through his presidency as a devotion. And, I have a new book, as you know, called Miracle Mentality that I'd like all your people to buy because it's so good. And I'm already booked on the Today Show. I'm going to do Good Morning America. I'm going to do Oprah. I'm going to do all that, but I'm only still part of the puzzle.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. What happens when people are in their setback? I mean, you think that hooking up with this power partner is the secret, or what if they're just sitting down in their setback and they're just kind of stuck in it?
Okay, if you're stuck in your setback, just try to get better every day. Better, just better. Get out and walk about 7 houses and then go home. A day later, get out and walk 8 houses and go home. Don't train for a marathon. Don't necessarily go to a seminar that's going to just blast you, change you. Just get better. Just get better every day. Just get better. Winston Churchill, one link at a time. This is why I'm a master. This is why we're too busy, because just get better.
I love that. Now, from your book, give us just one tidbit to whet everybody's appetite for Miracle Mentality.
This book is a must. This is a must read if you're a human being. If you're not a human being, if you're an alien, do not buy this book. If you're a human being, you got to have this book, because I'm going to teach you how to tap into the innocence of the miracle mentality. Because when children are in an innocent place, I'm a princess. I went over to my friend's house and her daughter was dressed in a princess outfit. And I said, she was really little. I said, how often does she do this? She goes, a new dress every day. I'm a princess. Little kids, they play with Spider-Man, Superman, Iron Man. Everything is superific. I'm going to teach you how to tap back into that innocence where you form a miracle mentality that you cannot be stopped. I have such a miracle mentality. It's over with. It is over with. People say, how can you manifest so many big projects? It's over with. I have a miracle mentality. I believe in miracles. I expect miracles. I receive miracles. I became a miracle, and now I release miracles.
And I love that so much. I will tell you guys that Tim was on Oprah Soul Sunday, and I had to listen to you today. So you are the gift that keeps giving to me today. And this is his book, Miracle Mentality. So we all want to have miracles happen in our life. So we're going to go out, and I have already purchased my copy. And so let's support Tim.
Unless you're an alien, you need to buy this. I'm really being honest with you. This is not regular. This took me 2.5 hours, 2.5 hours. I wish it was hours. 2.5 years to write. And my editor is so expensive. I wish I could quote the price, but it's several cars this guy costs.
Well, I said to you, hey, Tim, you need an Audible and you need to do it yourself. And you did.
I did.
You did it this time.
I did it this time. And you did challenge me because you like my voice. And you know what? I'm glad I did it. And you know what's so weird? I got touched by my own book. I was reading it because, of course, I had read it and because I wrote it. But when I was reading it for the Audible, there was so many times in there I went, oh my God, this could like change somebody's life. So buy it for yourself, buy it for someone else. I think my guy Joseph from my team has given you the links, right?
Yes, yes, and I will put it in the show notes.
Yes. So, me and you will continue to talk. Today I'm going one way, you're going another way, but what a privilege to be on today. And for all my friends and partners, keep following her. She is helping people's lives, changing people all over the place.
Thank you so much, Tim. And it's been my greatest honor to have you on the Sisterhood of Sweat. And I look forward to continuing the conversation. Everybody, make sure to get out there and get Miracle Mentality by Tim Storey. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Tim.
Talk to you soon.
Bye. Got it. Stop.